Hi, it's Dwyer from GamblersAdvisory.com on the Thursday morning before Saturday's big fight between Manny Pacquiao and Oscar De La Hoya. As more than 45,000 of you who watched our earlier video on this fight know, we're taking Oscar De La Hoya by a wide margin. Let me point out that our target audience are gamblers. Gamblers don't care about anything other than the color green. Okay, the cultures of the fighters, whether they're from the rough part of town or the privileged part of town, whether a particular fighter is more black or more Latino or more European than the other fighter. None of that matters. The only thing that matters to us is the fighter's skill set and their ability and their style of fighting. Styles make fights. Now here, Oscar right now is a minus 175 favorite according to sports books. That gives him a 63.6% chance of winning the fight. We believe that Oscar has at least an 80% chance of winning the fight and that the line is out of whack. The line should favor Oscar by minus 400, perhaps even higher. If you can get Oscar De La Hoya at minus 300 or less, that offers compelling value because this fight is very much, very much a mismatch. Now, the weight differential between the fighters has been discussed ad nauseum by us and by other commentators. Suffice it to say that Manny Pacquiao has only fought once in his career above 130, and this fight is actually at 147. The recent Ricky Hatton-Paulie Malignaggi fight at 140 was an interesting fight, particularly when you realize that Manny Pacquiao has never fought at 140. We don't know if Manny Pacquiao could beat Ricky Hatton or Paulie Malignaggi. I think he could, but we really don't know because above he's completely untested above 130. And so there is a distinct size differential in this fight. More importantly, there is also a distinct skill differential in the fight. Oscar De La Hoya is the much better fighter. That's been covered up somewhat, where everyone is saying that Manny Pacquiao is the best fighter pound for pound. Let me just point out that Manny Pacquiao doesn't come anywhere close to a Floyd Mayweather in terms of defensive skill. Floyd Mayweather, when he was called the best pound for pound, was an elite defensive fighter as well as an elite offensive fighter. Manny Pacquiao's defense is questionable at best. In other words, he's in the ring with a big hitter and he doesn't have the ability to slip the big punches. If you go back and look at all of Manny Pacquiao's big fights, the fights against Eric Morales, and keep in mind, Manny Pacquiao lost the first fight against Eric Morales. The fights against Juan Manuel Marquez, where Juan Manuel Marquez gets knocked down 3 times in the first round of their first fight and then gets a draw. In other words, the remaining 11 rounds, Marquez beat Pacquiao by an average of 3 rounds on each of the judges' cards after that opening 10-7 round. And of course, the second fight where Marquez gets dropped twice, but yet loses a very debatable, very close decision. In other words, Manny Pacquiao was completely outboxed by Juan Manuel Marquez, save for the knockdowns. Now, knockdowns count. We're not saying Manny Pacquiao didn't emerge victorious in at least the second fight, but what we are saying is Manny Pacquiao has significant problems against an excellent boxer, and that's exactly what Oscar De La Hoya is. In fact, you know Oscar is excellent defense just by looking at Oscar De La Hoya. His face is unmarked as the face of a young Cassius Clay. And keep in mind, Oscar has been boxing for more than 2 decades. Oscar won a gold medal in the 1992 Olympics and before then was fighting in amateurs. Yet his face is unmarked because he has excellent defense. His defense is vastly superior to Manny Pacquiao's defense. His power is vastly superior to Manny Pacquiao's power. When Manny Pacquiao knocks someone down, even at 130, the person is alert and conscious on the canvas. Take a look at one Manuel Marquez when he goes down. In fact, take a look at one of Manny Pacquiao's best moments. His third fight against Erik Morales. Morales goes down. Morales actually is alert enough, completely conscious, to actually look across at his corner and to nod at his corner and communicate with his corner about his desire not to get off the canvas. Now, that is vastly different than the type of power that a Mike Tyson, a Vladimir Klitschko, a Lennox Lewis, and an Oscar De La Hoya brings to the table. There, when those guys go down, when they knock you down, the other guy is hurt. The other guy is practically out. Take a look at Fernando Vargas when he was on the canvas against Oscar De La Hoya. Take a look at Ricardo Mayorga at the end of his fight against Oscar De La Hoya. When Oscar De La Hoya hits you, you go down. And my point is simply here, Oscar De La Hoya could be as sloppy as he wants to be at the beginning of the fight. He could get hit by several Manny Pacquiao shots. I don't think Manny Pacquiao can hurt Oscar De La Hoya. I don't, Manny would be lucky to get Oscar down to the canvas, and even if he gets Oscar down to the canvas, Oscar would be able to get off the canvas and continue the fight. I can't say the same thing if Pacquiao gets hit by Oscar De La Hoya's punch. Now, the Boxing Cognoscenti points out that there's concern about Oscar De La Hoya's right hand. The idea is that Oscar has a beautiful left hook and that Oscar has problems throwing the right hand. What I would advise them to do is to take a look at Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao has an interesting left hand himself that he's able to throw always after a right jab. Take a look at the knockdowns of Juan Manuel Marquez. Take a look, in fact, at most Manny Pacquiao fights. Pacquiao tips his punches. He steps when he throws. He also throws a right before he throws his power punch left. Now, our point to you is simply Oscar De La Hoya's right hand at this point in his career is actually better than Manny Pacquiao's right hand. Both of these guys are southpaws. Don't be fooled. Oscar fights out of a conventional orthodox stance. But Oscar in real life is actually a southpaw. His left hand is his power punch. He has a sizable reach advantage. He should be able to use that left hand to batter Manny from distance. We believe Oscar, given the size disadvantage that Manny has, is probably going to go for the knockout early. Gamblers should heavily consider some of these early round props because there is a distinct possibility that Oscar De La Hoya is going to end this fight by knockout in the first 6 rounds. So what we suspect will happen is that Oscar is going to have Manny's punches timed perfectly because Manny rarely leads with his left hand, with his power hand. Please do not confuse Manny Pacquiao's skill set with the skill set of, let's say, a Roy Jones or a Floyd Mayweather. He's not those guys. Also, the idea that Oscar has problems with southpaws and the analogies drawn to the Pernell-Whitaker fight are as believable as Mary Had a Little Lamb. Pernell-Whitaker was a defensive genius, one of the best defensive fighters to come along in quite a while. Manny Pacquiao is exactly the opposite. He's very easy to hit. He's been getting by on speed and dancing around the ring more so than on defense. You rarely see Manny Pacquiao rope-a-doping anyone off the ropes in his fights. And so we're going to turn our attention to this ringing phone. The bottom line, the whole thing, if you can get Oscar De La Hoya at minus 300 or better, lower, minus 200, minus 180, we believe that is compelling value because Oscar's not just the bigger fighter in this fight, he's actually the more skilled fighter in this fight. And we believe his left hook and uppercut are going to rule the day. Manny will not be able to get inside in this fight. We'll be surprised if Oscar's unable to stop this fight relatively early. Visit us at gamblers.com, and when you bet, always use your head.